Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. FBI agents raided the home and office of President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, Monday. Investigators had search warrants obtained by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan. At the White House Monday evening, President Trump criticized the raids, calling it a, quote, witch hunt.
So I just heard that they broke into the office of one of my personal attorneys, good man, and it's a disgraceful situation. It's a total witch hunt. I've been saying it for a long time. Why don't I just fire Mueller? Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens. But I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him. Again, they found nothing.
It's not clear what the raids were connected to, but we do know it is separate from special counsel Robert Mueller's probe of Russian meddling in the 2016 election. CBS News Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues has the latest.
Michael Cohen's lawyer says that the search warrants were part of a referral by the Office of the Special Counsel Robert Mueller. He called the warrants completely inappropriate and unnecessary. During a search of locations linked to Cohen, investigators seized documents and other materials. But it is unclear whether investigators are specifically interested in some aspect of Cohen's role in the 2016 election, or specifically his payment of $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels, who talked about her alleged affair with the president in a 60 Minutes interview with Anderson Cooper.
I guess I'm not 100% sure on why you're doing this.
Because it was very important to me to be able to defend myself.
Last week, the president brushed off questions about the affair and the payment, choosing instead to refer reporters to Cohen.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
No, I don't know.
I look forward to getting all the information that they're looking for.
Over the years, Cohen has been one of the president's most trusted legal and business advisors. He doesn't shy away from being called a fixer.
That was Jeff Pegues reporting. I want to bring in CBS News security analyst and former assistant FBI director Ron Hosko. So, Ron, we just heard President Trump call the raid a, quote, witch hunt. He also said, quote, we'll see what happens, end quote, when asked about potentially firing special counsel Robert Mueller. Does it seem like the special counsel played a role in Monday's raids? I mean, we know, according to the attorney for Michael Cohen's statement, there was a connection there. But how might this impact the special counsel's investigation?
Well, first, we're just making our judgments based on very, very thin reporting, Elaine, but it sounds as though Bob Mueller, doing his work, saw something, whether he saw documents, whether he saw some evidence of a crime, that he referred it to the U.S. Attorney's Office and or the FBI in New York, the Southern District of New York, U.S. Attorney's Office, and that they were, in effect, running the ball here with regard to these search warrants. So my supposition would be, not knowing more, that Mueller sensed he found evidence of that would support a search warrant, perhaps was evidence of a crime. He believed it to be outside of his mission, his charter as the special prosecutor or special counsel, probably discussed that with Rod Rosenstein and made the determination that this is not his, but it's significant enough that he ought to refer it to the FBI for action, and that's what occurred here. It to me is very troubling, the president's continued attacks on Mueller, as you say, kind of ramped up attacks or renewed attacks on the Attorney General. We know he's been frustrated with Jeff Sessions for recusing himself from all things Russia, for his appointment of or his handing it off to Rod Rosenstein, and Rosenstein appointing Mueller as the special counsel. So we know we have a very frustrated president. However, I think it is destructive to trust and confidence in the legal system, in the judicial system, in the FBI's ability and the Justice Department's ability to do its work.
Ron, we heard that agents seized documents that may have included communications with the president. Can you just explain to us, when it comes to determining which communications are considered privileged between an attorney and his or her client, how does that determination happen? So there's a gathering of all of these documents. Who decides what gets to be entered into evidence and what has to be set aside because of those protected communications?
Well, it could be, Elaine, after some examination that a federal judge will decide. My expectation here would be that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York will set up what's known as a clean team, and that is a group of lawyers and agents who are going to look over the documents that don't communicate with the investigators who have the case at all. They look over the documents. They make the claim as to their belief that certain documents are clearly privileged, documents are not privileged, and it could be that will break into essentially warfare with Cohen's attorneys,
right,
who are going to make the claim of privilege probably with any attorney-client document, and certainly with those documents that relate to the president. And so the battle of experts and legal positions will break out, requiring a federal judge to say, okay, here's what is privileged and that the investigative team can see, and here's what's not privileged. I'm sorry, what's not privileged the investigative team can see, and what is privileged the investigative team will never be able to see. And then that investigative team will have to see what they have to look at to help build a case, see if there's a case left at the end of it, or maybe they have no case at all.
You mentioned the president once again railing against Attorney General Jeff Sessions, saying he should not have recused himself. I wonder what your thought is, as someone who is a former assistant FBI director, to hear the President of the United States so very clearly from the White House continuing to call out the United States Attorney General because of this Russia investigation.
Yeah, I think it's very damaging. Look, any attorney general who is doing their job righteously and really calling balls and strikes right down the middle, they're going to generate some people who don't appreciate those positions, don't appreciate their work, don't appreciate the person. And my sense is that's what Jeff Sessions is trying to do. Absent Jeff Sessions doing something that is unethical, illegal, immoral, he seems to me to be committed to doing his job. And here, because of the sensitivity of this case, knowing that it's the president's attorney, I have every confidence that Jeff Sessions knew that these search warrants would be executed. Certainly the U.S. attorney, the FBI director, these are all folks who raised their right hand and swore to uphold and defend the Constitution. And in addition to that, you're talking about a neutral and detached federal magistrate who had to weigh on the probable cause statement of the affidavits here and sign off on these search warrants. So that's a lot of people, including the chain of command in both the FBI and DOJ, knowing this, probably weighing in on it. That's a lot of people who are involved in a witch hunt. I think it's very damaging what the president is saying.
All right, Ron Hosko in Washington for us. Ron, thanks very much for helping us understand the process.
You're welcome.